Arg! Ahoy there, matey! Welcome aboard the world of boating.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I was just looking into buying a boat of my own.
Call World of Boating toll-free now at 1-8888-28-BOAT. That's 1-888-828-BOAT.
And welcome. This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. Captain Patrick rounding out the crew at the moment as we navigate the latest boating news and information. Man, a lot has happened since our last broadcast. I'll tell you, I traveled out to the left coast, did some boating on a cruise ship. And we are going to talk about it because despite what Patrick always claims, that doesn't count as boating. In my world, it does. I was on a boat. And we'll get to that soon enough. But there's other big boating news that we have to navigate through first. And we hope to connect with Captain Rusty, who is on site at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. But we've already had some anecdotal reports from some of our, quasi-passengers, like bandwagon jumpers. I don't know. Refugees that we pick up at sea every now and then on the World of Boating. So, I don't know. What have you heard so far about the boat show, Patrick? Tell us what you got.
Lots of boats.
Lots of boats. That's a good thing. I mean,
lots of boats.
I will say, and back me up on this, so far for the boat show, I am hearing that they are doing tremendous numbers. That the people that have shown up for the boat show in Fort Lauderdale this week could be breaking records. I mean, big time, because the weather's been awesome. What are you hearing?
Weather's been awesome. Well, first, see, I was down there prior to
for
all
setup
the festivities. So, great teamwork among the different boat companies and stuff like that, and dealers that are setting up. A lot of. I don't think I was trying to find if there was any type of like a time lapse video that had been taken over the years, maybe from one of the hotels there outside, or showing just how involved that is in getting that particular show set up. Because even though it's based out of Bahia Mar and you've already got floating docks and stuff there, to set everything up and create the dealer spaces, which are on the water, and by that I mean they bring in more floating docks. But then you have to start with the end in mind. So you got to start bringing in the boats, getting those positioned, then bringing in the floating docks, and construct an even bigger floating facility, if you will, on the water before any of the actual construction of the booths and things like that can take place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tremendous undertaking, and it's only gotten more complex, certainly during the time that I've been involved with it, which is, I don't know, going on 15, 16 years now.
Right. Well, better or, they've been doing it so long. I mean, they should have it down, don't they?
It's not that as much as the way that the displays have evolved for the dealerships. If you went back 20 years ago, you got a couple desks, a couple, some chairs, maybe a cooler with some drinks, and now it's all about basically the smaller manufacturers, if you will, have taken more of what the super yacht displays were doing, say, 10, 15 years ago. So more about that luxury and creating an environment that is, very welcoming, very upper class, if you will.
Right.
And getting a certain vibe there going. So what has become is it is as important to have a great display. And I'm not talking about the boats. I'm talking about the offices, the actual meeting areas there where customers come in.
Yeah.
And if they are interested, they sit down with the sales team or they talk with representatives from the manufacturers. That aspect of it has just, it's the amount of detail that goes into those areas. And not just for the manufacturer that I work for, as I walk the docks and just seeing these large crates getting unloaded and getting this stuff down on the docks. It'd be easier if you helicoptered some of this stuff in.
Probably so, yeah.
It's so big, but
yeah, I mean, they're basically building a floating city in Fort Lauderdale.
It really is. But as I said, what really has changed, what's evolved, is the lengths that the manufacturers are going to with their dealers to create these meeting areas that are just next level. There's certainly so much more, and it's hard enough to do at a place like Miami. When we're in the convention center, doing it on the water presents a whole nother set of challenges when you're dealing with floating docks, electrical systems that weren't designed for a lot of the stuff that's going into these displays now. So hats off to everybody who put in, all the setup teams that put in all the hard work and are going to be back down here on Monday, packing it all up, because as soon as you're set up and running, before you know it, you're heading back down and you're tearing it all down and crating it away for either Miami or Fort Lauderdale next year.
Right.
But what I have, if you go back, if you listen to podcasts of the show going back, I don't know, say 10 years ago, when we started talking about the change with outboard engines, becoming more prevalent in larger boats that 20, 25 years ago, you would never, ever had thought of putting, triple 425s on the back of a 42-foot flybridge sedan cruiser. People would have said nobody would buy it. You're insane.
Mm-hmm.
But joystick control has changed that. The want of being able to trim those engines up out of the water and be free of any corrosion, the accessibility of the engines, the maintenance aspect of outboards versus V-Drive, IPS, Zeus, any of those pod drive systems, which are still great, and certain boats you're not going to get away from those. What I saw this year, as opposed to last year, and no pun intended, the explosion of electric boat offerings.
Really? Okay. So it's catching on then, huh?
It is unbelievable, and I'm going to step out on a ledge, so to speak. I'm going to say, in the next 5 years, electric will be 40% of the offerings in that show.
You think that's going to be the big star of the show this year, maybe, just because there is so much of it out there or being put on display in Fort Lauderdale?
I think there's some product out there that is really giving boat buyers, depending on where they boat, it's giving them some options now, because that phase of, it's really kind of new and really not sure what you guys are doing, stuff that, Correct Craft is doing with Ingenuity, with, their marine power systems, their electric drive systems, the other manufacturers that are out there, Vision, with setting the record with twin electric outboards at Lake of the Ozarks, for electric powered craft. I mean, in excess of, I think it was 100 miles. I know we did a story on, I think it was in excess of, it was like 105 miles per hour.
Fast.
I mean,
very fast.
This is not a joke anymore. It's not something that, we go out and we're going to putt around the lake. We're talking about true performance now, and they are working the battery requirements extremely hard to make it where the cost basis is going to be, that's what I say, going out about 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see about 40% of that show, certainly in the smaller boats, you're going to see more electric offerings. I know domestic manufacturers in the U.S. are building boats now, taking a lot of orders, building boats as blanks, which means no outboard engine installed, no control units installed, no helm display installed. They're going to ship to the dealers, and the dealers, especially over in the European markets, are going to install electric motors on these boats.
All right. Well, that sounds, I think that's a good thing for the industry overall. And who knows, maybe we'll have someone come out on top after the Fort Lauderdale, International Boat Show, like Tesla or something. We'll have wait and see. More coming up on the World of Boating.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why we've added Nanook protective hard cases to our list of products you can now purchase on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. Underwater photographers, listen up. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook protective cases cost less than similar products currently on the market. The company has been around for over 15 years, but it's new to the U.S., so we've made a small number of Nanook cases available exclusively for you at a special introductory price on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Go there now and check out Nanook, the evolution of protection.
Be an explorer in the other two-thirds of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Even Keatley wasn't ready for me, or anything that followed. Chased by a police department, led by his ex-girlfriend, and hunted by brain fork-wielding Fijian assassins, it's everything he can do to keep from getting locked up, killed, or worse. Kava Screw is available as an ebook for $2.99 at Amazon.com. Kava Screw. Put a brain fork in him. He's done.
You have successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
You can't have 5 people or 10 people in a boat.
So if it is a family of 4 or 5, like husband, wife, and kids, they're going to have to pick 2 of them at a time.
They would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Greaseball, where did you get the right to tell me how many people can come on my boat? Nobody asked that question. Whoa, really? It's on the boat or on the dock? Nobody said anything.
Sweetly sailing, darling, sweetly sailing by the sea, silver caps the ocean, we'll be sailing free.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, Captain Patrick. We're your crew navigating the latest boating news and information and checking in on the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. Captain Rusty's down there on site selling boats for Jacksonville Marine or I don't know, his Orlando location or Ormond Beach. He has like 3 or 4 of them. So he's kind of tied up at the moment, which is a good thing. Business is good. I got a report from, a couple firsthand reports, Patrick, and see if these line up with what you heard or, you were there for setup. But on Thursday, which is like, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous Day, it's like the preview day where they charge like an absorbent amount to get into the show. So you got to either know someone or have big bucks to even enter the show, I guess.
Or, as I said, go down to the staging area, get in line with all the manufacturers, and just walk up to the window and say, "Yeah, I'm setting up for such and such."
Right.
And they'll give you a little sticker. You put it on your shirt, and in you go.
Yeah, you act like
Captain
you belong.
Patrick's, yep, carry a hard hat and a clipboard, and you're good to go.
All right. Well, you could go that route, or you can go legit. Either way, whatever works for you. But one of my friends who did that, he said that Thursday was really rocking. He said it was cranked, it was full. The weather was perfect on Thursday. I don't know if they got a little rain yesterday or not, or what, but he said he was very impressed. He said they were out in force. Looks like it's going to be a very, very strong show. And I think that bodes well for everybody, whether you're in the boating industry or just, and boating enthusiasts listening to this show. I think that's good for everyone when business is good. When the manufacturers are selling boats, probably selling, they can't make boats fast enough still, so they still have that problem. But as Captain Rusty said, I guess it was last week, he sees a storm on the horizon there, and he's a little concerned. So it'll be interesting to see after the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show if he still feels that way, because he was saying that, all of a sudden things have kind of dropped off the last month or so as far as sales. And he was a little concerned. If there's a dip in the economy, depending on what news channel you watch, you could feel a little down in the dumps. So he's a little concerned, but he's cautiously optimistic that things will continue to go well.
For some of the boats he sells, certainly there could be a concern there because of just the price point, and others, which are kind of a higher end boat, probably not so much, because even with interest rates rising, when you're getting into people that are looking at $500,000, $2 million on a boat or yacht, that's really not going to deter them very much. They're still going to look for a deal. But here's what I do know from the manufacturer that I work for. My current role as the yacht portfolio manager, looking out at the white tag dates for boats that are on order, it stretches all the way out into April of next year, which effectively means anything that's getting ordered from the time that I looked at that delivery report, people aren't going to take delivery. If you're placing an order today, at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, and this is going to hold true for a lot of domestic manufacturers, you're looking at spring, summer of next year, which is not that far off, but still, you're looking at spring, summer of next year, which takes you through the 2023 model year. 2024 model year will start to change over, will be, May, June. So there is still a healthy backlog of orders, which marine manufacturers want. And these boats that are ordered, the domestic manufacturers are keeping a tight rein on inventory out in the field, moving boats from one dealer to another if need be, to make sure that it gets sold and that it's not sitting past so many days, if you will.
Right.
Very, very rarely are dealers ordering, a $1.5 million yacht on spec. Because how do you order it? With what options? Then you're going to get somebody walking down to the lot and saying, "Oh, I really wish it had the Seakeeper stabilizer." Well, yeah, you could add it now, but that's a pretty expensive undertaking. So they may have one as a demo, if you will, to be able to walk people through. But I think you're also going to see that aspect of the industry changing as well, where I'm going to say 10, 15, let's say 15 years out, dealerships are going to be less prevalent, and it's going to be more online ordering, outfitting your boat, and then going to having it delivered, coming out from the manufacturer to regional distribution. From there, it gets rigged up, and they assign a captain to go out and meet with the customer and the service manager. And that's going to be the model that goes, especially as OneWater snaps up more and more dealerships and starts to, MarineMax is taking serious note of what they're doing, because it's just not dealerships. They're grabbing manufacturers. They're grabbing marinas. So it's that you're going to wind up with two dominant, you'll still have your mom and pop dealers, but you're going to wind up with two main players in boat sales in the United States, being MarineMax and being OneWater.
Right. But those dealers and, dealerships like Captain Rusty's, Fort Lauderdale Boat Show is a major sales, thing for them. So you know, when he gets down there, the fact that he's having trouble connecting with us today because he has too many sales meetings might be a good sign that things are going to continue to be high in demand, and that's what he was a little concerned about last week or the week before, that things were kind of falling off a little bit. But maybe this will be the shot in the arm that he wants for the rest of the year, for 2023. For the whole year.
We even looked at this and said, even if there's and we predicted a fall off, everybody predicted a fall. Eventually, you can't, the manufacturers in the United States cannot sustain the level they're at with the supply chain issues that continue. They're lessening. They're becoming, it's things are getting better, certainly, but you still have some supply chain issues. You still have an employment issue because building boats is a hands-on job, and to get people in and get them trained on a specific function on building a particular model boat, there's time invested there, while all the while trying to keep the production rate going across your different product lines.
Well, there you go. And, we'll just have to wait and see how this progresses through the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. More coming up. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 PSI left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Do you have a message or product you need to share with the boating world? Well, look no further than the World of Boating radio show. Just like you, thousands of boating enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to worldofboating.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Come on, Williams, what are you standing around for here? Get on board.
Get on board. Don't fret. Don't try to worry. Just get on board. I'll take you there. Just get on board. Don't worry about your destination. 'Cause I'll tell you where we're going when we get there.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, Captain Patrick, rounding out the cruise. We navigate the latest boating news and information. All right, so I'll tell you what, as I said earlier, as we kicked off the show, that I just spent some time out on the West Coast and did a cruise up and down California, hit Santa Barbara, San Francisco, San Diego, Ensenada, Mexico. It was on Princess Cruise Line's newest cruise ship. Very state-of-the-art when it comes to cruising. And here it goes. It doesn't, but it does count as boating. I mean, they even have bars that have a boating theme on the cruise ship. I mean, you feel
that
very
definitely
nautical.
Makes it,
Well, I'm
counts
just
as
saying,
boating then.
There's a lot of people that go on these cruise ships, Patrick, that
So it's a floating hotel that moves.
It is, but they do enjoy
boating.
being on the water, and that is part of boating. I mean, that just because you don't even if you don't have your own boat, if you like being close to the water and you want to be on a boat, on a vessel, you want to have that nautical vibe, you want to have the ocean breeze blowing through your hair and, on the balcony of a fancy cruise ship that has a bar called Schooners and it has all kinds of nautical furniture in it. I'll tell you what, they went all out on this cruise ship. It was pretty impressive.
Hey, do they put little umbrellas in the drinks?
Of course they do.
It's not boating. It's not boating.
It counts for something.
It does.
It counts for a love of nautical themed stuff. And I think that applies to some cruisers. Not all, but some. I think it does.
That brings up an interesting topic, if you will. I want to pose a question, not only to you, but to our hundreds of thousands of millions of listeners,
right?
Whether they're listening live or podcast, and all these stories that we talk about, except for Greg's boating stuff, which isn't boating related. You can find it at worldofboating.com or World of Boating on Facebook. So if you haven't already done so, check us out, like us, and we promise we don't, just pester you with stories that are not popping up in your news feed. 1, maybe 2 a day will pop up. And these give you a hint as to what we're probably going to be talking about on Saturday. So, it's nice when we get, some of our followers there. They jump in with some comments on some stories, and those things might even be talked about while we're on there. So take a look at that. But big news out of the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show is Raymarine has signed an agreement with Abacus. Now, Abacus got this totally autonomous boat, and Abacus is a subsidiary of Hyundai. Okay, and this is their new boat, new as in neural, new boat level 2 autonomous navigation system for recreational boats. And they signed a memorandum of understanding with Raymarine to bring the product to market. So here's my question. And the reason why this is big news is because they're moving this, they did this with a big LG carrier, made news, I think earlier this year, maybe last year, where, a fully autonomous carrier, ocean going with this technology.
Right.
So as this inevitably finds its way into the recreational boat market, here's a question. Why do you go boating? And the reason why I ask that question is when I go boating, I go not just for the love of being out on the water and getting someplace secluded or going out and seeing something that maybe I haven't seen before, but I love the act of driving a boat or a yacht.
Understood.
And it's not, I got to be in control. I like learning about the boat. I like learning what boats like, what they don't like, how they perform, the different characteristics. And when you take that away, and 5 years down the road, 7 years down the road, this autonomous tech is now into the recreational market, especially combined with electric motors and things like that. And now you're just getting on your boat. It's going to, other than, and I've said this before, the first person that comes up with smart dock lines that can tie themselves, or a docking system that's fully autonomous as well. You're getting on the boat. The boat's going to release. It's going to get its way away from the dock. It's going to have all these. It's going to get out underway, and you're free at that point to go about. But when I deliver, when I train, when I teach, it's always, even with the advent of electronics and autopilot, is you still have to maintain a watch at the helm. You don't ever leave the helm station, to go down below or go to the aft end of the boat, because you just don't do that, because that's when bad things happen. And now we're doing this autonomous tech that's going to make its way into recreational boating. And is that going too far?
Well,
why do you boat?
I think you're mixing up, people's love of boating and being a captain. Now, if you want to be a captain, all that stuff you just said about don't leave the helm, and that is viable. But, even on the cruise ship that I was just on, one of the offerings that they have as like a, activity is you take a tour of the bridge, meet the captain, and go through all the electronics and what goes into the technical aspects of navigating a massive cruise ship like that Princess Cruise that I was on last
Did they
week.
give you
up and down
the
California.
little plastic captain's bars like they do for pilots? You get the
If
little
you ask
plastic
for it,
wings.
they'll take care of it. But it's impressive technology. I mean, they got to know what they're doing. And we're talking about all the different systems on the cruise ship, when it comes, how they carry, how they handle all the waste and everything. They're trying to make these newer cruise ships much more, environmentally friendly to the planet and all that. I mean, there's so much technology goes into these things, and not to mention the satellite navigation that they have. They have to be able to turn these things on a dime, the bow thrusters, the engines that they use on these things. I mean, you can learn a ton about cruising and cruise ships that I think definitely ties to boating, does count to a certain aspect of boating. Now, not everybody on board is into that kind of thing. Some are on just to enjoy a vacation, but there are a big group of people that I think go out there because they like the nautical lifestyle a little bit, and that kind of plays into it. So I think it counts. I think cruising counts as boating, despite what you keep saying. And as far as the autonomous thing of being a passenger, that's no different than, air taxis like drones that are coming and that kind of thing. So, will that count as being a pilot if you're just picked up and flown some, point A to point B? Well, no. You'll just be a passenger. But
right, which is all you are on a cruise ship.
Well, you're a but you can still actively participate into the boating elements of it if you want to.
Do they have room service?
Of course they did.
It's not boating.
What do you mean?
It's not boating.
You're a terrible captain, Patrick.
I am one of the best captains, and that's evident by the fact that I have never taken you out on the water.
Well, okay,
because I know better. But as this tech is going to find its way into recreational boating, it does beg to answer: when does boating traditionally when is it no longer boating and now it's just being a passenger on a boat, and you're letting this autonomous tech take care of everything? Is that boating to you? Why do you boat?
All right, we'll talk more about it next on The World of Boating.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network. Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen. That grinning, glowing, globular invader of your living room is an inhabitant of the pumpkin patch, and if your doorbell rings and nobody's there, that was no Martian. It's Halloween.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Halloween. Halloween.
This is Halloween, and a couple days from now, and it is also the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. That is me, along Captain Patrick. We're now joined by Jerry the Diver Guy as well. And I think he's going to need all the autonomous boating abilities that they put out there on the technical side of things. Because from what I understand, Jerry doesn't really have a ton of boating experience. Jerry, welcome to the World of Boating. How you doing, buddy? Uh-oh. Is he frozen or asleep? I see him. There he is. There he is. Okay. He just woke up. Yeah. What about that, Jerry? Do you have a ton of boating experience or no?
I've got some, yes.
Some? Like, what does that mean? Explain.
I grew up on boats, bass boats, pontoons, everything. So.
Okay, so you've had them, and you've operated a few over the years.
Several.
Have you been on a cruise, by the way?
No.
Yeah, okay. Well, because that would have counted to your boating abilities as well, by the way. That would have counted.
No, it would not. No, it does not.
But in my world, it does. But that's a whole different issue.
That would just be your eating abilities.
Well, that's part of boating. You got to eat. Everyone has to eat, whether you're a boater or not. But anyway, Jerry, has been talking about getting a boat to live
For
on.
9 years now.
It's been a while.
8.5.
Yeah. And
Who's counting?
I'm surprised you're not down at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show this week, trying to find a bargain or something, or looking for something. Have you been thinking about that, Jerry, or no?
I have thought about it, but unfortunately, of course, once again, the boat show come at a time that I
just couldn't make it work. It was just a little tough. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, it caught him by surprise, apparently.
Evidently. So
By the look on his face.
Yeah. Yeah, he's actually having, it sounds like or it looks like he's having some issues because he keeps freezing up on the
That
closed
is
caption video. Right at the perfect point, too.
Yeah, if there was ever a time to get frozen, that is the shot.
I'll tell you what, that's a perfect shot for Halloween because that's really scary. He looks spooked. So, I don't know. He's having some connection issues there in the mountains of Virginia where he resides. There, I hear him now. Just turn your video off. Maybe that'll help,
internet
Jerry.
keeps going crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's the internet.
Right.
It says it's unstable.
Well, just turn your video off. Maybe that'll help, Jerry. But
yeah, well, I'm
in
cutting
more ways than
everything
one.
off in the house.
Okay.
So.
Well, so what is the deal, though? Are you making any progress on finding a boat or not?
Well, I am still looking. But I have a question for you.
Okay.
One thing here.
For you?
So all of the boats that y'all see, like from the storms and storm damaged boats.
Oh God!
Right.
The world happens to those.
Well, people they either trash them, and they end up in a landfill, or some hillbilly up in the mountains of Virginia decides to buy one. And,
Jerry, let me allow to get a competent answer to your question.
Well, no, that's the truth. We talked about this a few weeks ago. We were talking about you, Jerry. I knew you were going to have this question. I really did.
Here's what happens, and this, our friend, our surveyor to the stars, Matt Knowles, he and I had some in-depth discussions about this, and it pretty much once anything goes, a boat in this storm that has sunk. That's going to be a write-off. Boats that have suffered, they've gotten tossed about and there's suspected structural damage, especially on these newer boats, because the way the boats are constructed, access to get in and do any type of a structural repair, if the hull has been compromised, if the deck's been compromised, pretty much it's a no-go. It's going to be written off. So these boats are going to wind up getting hauled out. They will get sold at auction. This is where the public needs to be very, very careful. Same thing with looking at cars and where these cars, was there any flood damage, whether it's, like the floods we had here in Central Florida, where cars may have been underwater, or boats, that have suffered, they sank. They will get sold at auction. Salvage titles, companies will come in, they'll attempt repairs and then put them on the market. And you're going to wind up, if you're not careful, buying somebody else's problem and going to wind up with a boat that is going to have a bunch of issues, most commonly engine related and or electrical, because the boats suffered water intrusion into the hulls, into the decks, and by and large should not be sold.
Here's the kicker, though, too, Jerry, because we talked about this a few weeks ago, because I knew you were going to come at us with this question. And the one thing that Patrick uncovered for everyone is that, unlike cars, they don't have to disclose necessarily that a boat has been involved in a hurricane or has been flooded or damaged, or sunk. And so, yeah, you could go and look for a bargain at an auction or something like that, and buyer beware, because you may not know that this thing has been underwater for a certain amount of time, and there's all that unseen damage to corrosion of engine parts and things like that can be easily overlooked, or if you don't have an experienced mechanic going through that thing with a fine.
Well, that's my question, though. I mean, where I'm looking on a used market, how am I going to know what the difference is? Are they going to say this is a salvage title to it? Or?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's buyer beware. You're really rolling the dice, looking for something like that.
Here's the thing, Jerry. It goes without saying, if there's a boat you're interested in, getting a competent, well-respected, great reputation marine surveyor, spend the money, have them go through the boat, through the systems. A good one, somebody like Matt Knowles, is going to know exactly what to look for. He'll research the history of the boat, know where it's coming from, and who is selling the boat. So you are unfortunately going to have, coming out of Hurricane Ian, you're going to wind up with some boats on the market where they are going to go to auction. A company's going to come in, they're going to buy them for pennies on the dollar. They're going to spray down the engines with WD-40. They're going to spray down the electrical room with, corrosion shield and stuff like that. And if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah. Buyer beware, but get a marine survey that's going to go through, and somebody who is aware of how that part of the industry operates. There are, unfortunately, some unscrupulous sellers out there, and they're gonna slap these things together, patch them up the best they can, put them on the market, make their money, move on to the next one, and you're left with absolutely no recourse. And you're going to have a boat that's going to have, unfortunately, a lot of problems, more that are just going to be like, really what should happen with those boats when they are salvage only. There should be in the industry where it's salvage, it's on the title, and they should not be allowed really to resell those boats. Those boats should be scrapped, stripped of any and all usable parts, and then the hulls and decks crushed and sent to the landfill.
That said, I say, Jerry, go for it. What the heck?
No. Well, that is one question. I've seen you see hundreds of pictures and everything else of these boats stacked up on top of each other, pushed in on land.
Well, you look for the one that's sitting on top of all the other
exactly.
ones. That's
See,
the one.
Common sense. You do that, find a good marine surveyor, watch some YouTube videos, and then document the whole thing, because when you lose your ass on it, at least you'll get some good content down on it, and maybe some extra views on YouTube there, Jerry.
Look for the one that got tossed way inland on the hard and is basically dry docked.
Okay.
That's the one.
Right. And on that note, we're going to have to wrap it up till next time. Remember, whether it's sail or motor,
life is better as a boater.
Safe boating, everyone.
Here, you barnacle-bitten swab. World of Boating is brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
World of Boating is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
Computer standing by.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past shows worldwide over the internet at worldofboating.com.
Computers can do that?
So tell a friend and come aboard every week for the World of Boating.
This is so great. I can't wait. I'm getting goosebumps. Feel me.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
The opinions you just heard on the World of Boating are those of the hosts, callers, and guests. They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
What are you being such a weenie for?
While on the water, your safety and the safety of many others depends on you. So boat smart and operate your vessel only after receiving the proper training and instruction for your area.
There is a fine line between genius and madness.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at worldofboating.com.